Hi, and thank you for watching TargetedWest.com. This is DJ Chris, the V2K call, the original V2K call. We are a peaceful group of folks that get together and discuss Fourth Industrial Revolution technologies, like Onion Head Andrew said in the last call. And we are exactly focusing on that and other topics like directed energy weapons and game stalking sometimes when it's appropriate. It is the 24th of August 2025. It is 93 degrees here in Lodi, and this is our 175th call. The opinions of our guests are that of their own and not that of Targeted West or DJ Chris. We're going to go ahead and have a book club session early today, and I like to play the intro for you guys, and then we'll be on our way. Hope everybody's doing fine. I'm glad you're watching this on your favorite recording or your favorite platform. I'm watching the recording. Here we go.
It's time for the TI Book Club, where every book opens a door to new worlds and shared journeys. Here, we uncover hidden gems, specially selected for TIs, and always within your reach. Be part of a community that reads together, grows together, and sees the world through the same lens. Don't just listen to stories, live them with us. Join now at bookclubs.com/TI-bookclub/join, and let's turn the pages of adventure together.
Yes, it's the TI Book Club with DJ Chris, and hello everybody. I am here with a guest tonight who's an author, and his name is Jason Lee. He wrote a very interesting book called Victim, Survivor, Warrior, the Targeted Boot Camp book, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce him. Come on in, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing great. I am glad to be on your show finally. I know we've talked about doing this for a while, and I was working on the book that entire time. I wanted to do it sooner, and I recently reached out to you because I finally finished it, and yeah, we're finally doing this. I know we've talked about doing this for probably more than a year, but finally.
Very good. And my associate Tranquility is in the house. We'll go ahead and add her to my, just take a moment here. Tranquility runs a board for us, and she'll help us with the Q&A session that we'll be doing after we get together here. And let's see. So, Jason, you wrote a book, of course. I read it. It's reasonably priced at $4.44 for a Kindle. And I bought my copy, and I'm on page 130. I'm on the 29th chapter, and I'm really impressed by the book. Can you tell us more about how you came up with the idea, the whole concept? It's very well thought out, and it's not just the words, but the whole book is well laid out. And you've never written a book before, or did you have experience doing this? Because it's incredibly well done. Tell us more.
This was my very first book, and I've wanted to write a book for a while, and it was after I became a targeted individual, but it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I thought I wanted to write a book, and then I sat down and I wanted to try to write, and I couldn't think of a single word. So I put that aside for a while, and eventually I was trying to practice just releasing videos, and I was just using my smartphone, and I was trying to release a video every single day, just a really short smartphone video. And I had done that for a few months. And then after doing that, I realized that I may actually have an entire book's worth of content. And that's when I started actually turning all those videos into a book. But yeah, this was my very first time writing a book. after I finished and after publishing it, I definitely want to do it again. It's probably the best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. And of course, before I was a targeted individual, I thought I was living my dream life. I was, motivated. I had a career. I was married. But releasing a book, my first book, I don't. It's been just the process of finishing. When I finished, I was just like, wow, I can't believe I wrote a book. It was a lifetime achievement just finishing it. And after publishing it, I can't believe that there's actually people reading it. And as someone who has been, making music since I was a teenager, I've been recording music since I was a teenager and releasing music, and I've honestly never legitimately sold a single copy of my music. And I've been doing that for like maybe 25 years, and I've never sold a single copy of music. So it's very encouraging that for my very first book, I'm actually selling a little bit. I'm not selling a huge number of copies every day, but at least I'm selling, and even selling one is already a lot for me.
Yeah, bet you get up in the morning and check that KDP, don't you?
I check that KDP, and yeah, I mean, but yeah, just as someone who's been releasing music for like 25 years and not selling a single copy, it's very encouraging. Actually, just selling a little bit every day.
You'd be surprised how powerful words are, especially when they're in a targeted community where we, can relate to what you're writing about. So it's important. You hit your key market with the book, and I've read it, and I'm very impressed. Very interesting, and you're very honest about your background and your history, and everything you've said on Twitter is what you said in the book. You match up perfectly. You're definitely an open book, and you doing it so you can teach people not to make mistakes like you did. I used to be not so great kid when I was younger, and my voices bring that up. And I learned as I got older, but I was a punk, so I had my days.
I had my days when I was younger too. Believe me, I know what it's like. I was quite the punk myself. But with pain in life, negative experiences, failure, it teaches you things, and it forces you to become a better person. And yeah, being targeted. I mean, it's been. Of course, I would never wish this on anyone. No one should have to actually go through this, but it's really changed me as a person, my entire outlook on life. It's awakened me to so much. I literally feel like before I was a targeted individual, I was just in a automated asleep bot in the matrix. I didn't know what was actually happening in the world. And now I'm very awakened. I know exactly what's happening. There's all these different forms of modern slavery, like child trafficking happening. Of course, targeted individuals is also a modern slavery. But yeah, becoming a targeted individual, it really changed me. It forced me to be a better person. It forced me to just upgrade, to be my best. And I feel like just fighting this program, and not just fighting for targeted individuals, but also all the other forms of modern slavery, I feel like I actually, for the first time in my life, I have a real meaning and purpose of something that I'm doing that's actually not just helping myself in trying to build my own career, but it's really for the benefit of humanity as just one race.
It's really good. Yeah, it's an incredible book that has a good meaning, and especially the references to Lao Tzu and Sun Tzu and you and others and Bruce Lee. I mean, that's really poignant. I like that on the introduction of each chapter. The chapters are short and easy to read as I went through the book, and you discuss many different topics. Can you name out a few of some of the topics without giving away your book as to what's in it for us to understand?
So the book has 3 sections. The first one is the victim phase, the second is the survivor phase, and the third is the warrior phase. And in the victim phase, it's really about in the book there are 14 different loops, and these loops are really what cause target individuals to really go in circles, chasing, almost like mice chasing our tails. And we're really caught in these loops of trying to puzzle together things, and there's all sorts of gibberish in the program that really doesn't matter. I mean, we have to learn about it, because if we don't know about it, then we keep going in these circles and trying to, figure out what's real and what's fake. But there are different loops in the first section. There's the schizophrenia loop. There's the moral judgment loop. The moral judgment loop is about basically how the programming will go through your entire life as a series of events and make you feel guilty of any mistakes you've made or failures. And it's the moral judgment loop is really the program will try to play God like it's judging you, and make you the ultimate reason is it wants to make you feel like you deserve to be tortured. And that's one of the loops. And there's 14 different loops in the first section, the victim phase. And if you feel like you're going around in circles and you're confused and you have all these different questions about targeting, it's probably one of these loops that's causing that. And really, in my book, knowing these loops and knowing that you're getting caught and going in circles, chasing all these things that don't really matter and aren't really
the good old shielding loop.
Yeah, the shielding loop. The shielding loop. It's really about how of course we're dealing with a lot of pain, voice to skull. We want to get on with our lives, and we want to mitigate the pain. So the shielding loop is where you'll get caught searching for an end-all solution, like an quick and easy fix to the entire targeting program, which is this program is very advanced, and it's very unlikely you're going to find all-in-one fix. And the program will keep you in a loop searching for all these different shielding products, which are all advertised to be 100% effective. And it's just there hasn't been a certain type of shielding that has worked for every single target individual. And it becomes a loop because many target individuals are financially limited, and anything that costs money that you become obsessed with, eventually draining your resources, can be dangerous. And this program has turned so many people into homeless, including myself. So that's another one of the loops to look out for, and there's 14 in that chapter. And then the survivor phase of the book, it's really about finding.
It's about your relocation loop makes you homeless. Yeah, you said that. I remember that.
Yes, the relocation loop. The relocation loop. It's really about how a lot of targeted individuals, and there's things like all the gang stalking and the organized stalking, and you feel like all your locals are stalking you. And the relocation loop is really where targeted individuals get caught constantly relocating to new apartments, new homes, new towns, new cities. A lot of targeted individuals have tried to relocate to different countries, and the targeting it does not stop. It's a worldwide scale program. The matrix is everywhere. You cannot escape it. And there are other things that you can focus your time and energy and finances on that are more constructive than constantly relocating. The book mentions how the survivor phase is really about trying to achieve some sort of stability in your life, and you can't get to the survivor phase and have stability if you're constantly moving and you can't even settle down into a place. I understand you may be getting the organized stalking and the gang stalking, but really target individuals have tried moving to different countries, and it doesn't end. The matrix is everywhere, and yeah, there's all these different loops in the victim phase that you can look out for. And if you're caught in these loops, you really have no time for anything else. And part of becoming a survivor in the targeted individuals community is also not forgetting to spend time and care about yourself. Not always necessarily always fighting the program. in the warrior phase, yeah, we're fighting the program, but in the survivor phase, a lot of it is about getting back in touch with yourself, trying to find things that you can find somewhat of a little bit of joy in, your own interests, instead of constantly researching the CIA and the NSA and things you didn't even care about before you became a targeted individual. It's about reconnecting with yourself and what's really important to you. If you're caught in all these loops, you cannot do that. And it's tiring, it's exhausting, it's painful. And really knowing these loops in the victim phase, the first section of the book, is really important for getting on with your life and finding meaning and purpose, and ultimately reaching the warrior phase, where you can actually start trying to fight and shut down the program. You're not only fighting for yourself, you're fighting for other targeted individuals, you're fighting for the rest of humanity. And you can't really get there and actually have the time and mind state to actually do that unless you actually get a really strong conceptualization of all these loops that are taking up all your time and energy.
Gotcha. I just had a overwhelming smell of cat poop come through the RV, but it was the cat that took a poop, and so I thought we were being steamed out over here. But we're not.
They can
oh my God.
Worst foul smells. I mean, they have created smells that are so foul that really smell like poop.
Oh, they amplified this one. This one, yeah, it shouldn't even be coming through the living room, but yeah, they're trying to knock me out of my frame of thought. I missed the warrior part of the book. Can you tell us a little bit about that part, which I think everybody wants to be a warrior after being a survivor, because you can't just sit around and do nothing. You've got to keep busy, and being a warrior keeps you busy, like me, and I believe I'm a warrior. I know you are too.
The warrior phase is really about, after you're a survivor, and as a survivor, you're likely just taking things slow, taking things as they come day by day. You don't really plan ahead or have a schedule. You're just busy trying to survive and get back in touch with yourself. And the warrior phase is when you start actually trying to fight and shut down the program, fighting for other target individuals, not just yourself, but also things like rebuilding a daily schedule, a weekly schedule. And then there's also, in the warrior phase, a bunch of different roles that you can play. There's documentation, there's lawfare, there's advocacy, there's press and media, things like journalism and blogging. There's also there's in the warrior phase. It really talks about how you can start to rebuild your life, start creating relationships and forming alliances with people, and basically it's really taking all these different concepts from actual conventional military warfare. Of course, in this book, it's all nonviolent, but in the military, you sign up and you're not necessarily a soldier. There's all these different roles that you can play, and the warrior phase in the book talks about all these different roles that you can fulfill, such as being a healer, or considering yourself a medic. The thing with targeted individuals is that a lot of us, we cannot go to doctors or psychiatrists or go to therapy because
that's a whole section I read that was very interesting.
Yes. So targeted individuals, a lot of times for our own healing, the only option we have is other targeted individuals who understand what we're going through. And that's another role you can fulfill, just being a healer and hearing. To be a healer, you don't have to have like a MD or be a psychiatrist or a therapist. Part of it is
a healer. The healer's main job is to just listen.
Just listening to a target individual and what they're going through and hearing their story. That can be considered being a healer, and that's like being a medic in the military. This is a multi-dimensional war. It's a matrix war. It's consciousness. It's spirit. It's upper dimensions that cannot be seen and heard. And
fifth generation warfare. Yeah, that's asymmetrical in nature, and is using the brain as the new war theater.
Yep, the brain is the new battlefield.
There's books about that too.
Yes, yes. I think there was a Robert Malone, the mRNA vaccine inventor, who actually speaks out about he speaks against COVID. He's anti-COVID vaccine, and he actually invented the mRNA vaccine. He released a book called War recently, which I wanted to read. And it's interesting because on Twitter, he actually tweeted about targeted individuals. He actually used the word, and it wasn't just like a subliminal tweet. He actually wrote targeted individuals in a tweet, which was interesting to me because he's the only
That's
person,
interesting.
yeah, only person of actual influence that's actually done something who has credibility and who's been mentioned in the media and things like that, who has directly mentioned targeted individuals. And when I say directly mentioned targeted individuals, I mean actually writing or saying target individuals.
Oh, well, you haven't. Have you followed Uri Geller
I've never,
on
I don't
Twitter?
know who that is.
So Uri Geller is a guy that Ben spoons back in the old days in the 70s. He's a psychic and he does remote viewing, and he is a well-known celebrity, and Michael Jackson knew him, Jagger, all the top people hung out with him. And he's in Israel and has a museum, but he talks about targeted individuals all the time, and he's pretty high up there. But I've seen people talk about it, but they never do anything, Jason. They just talk about it.
Yeah. I think there was also that country singer. I forgot what his name was, but he did a song. I think the song was even called Target Individuals.
Yeah, it was by I can't. Van Morrison did it actually. I have it as my hold music for this call.
Yes, I've listened to that song too. But there haven't been too many people who are actual, influencers and celebrities that have mentioned target individuals.
No, that's true. Some celebrities have mentioned they have voices though, like Lady Gaga,
Right.
Anthony Hopkins, the guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and a
Yeah.
few others
Selena Gomez.
admit it. So that part's in the open, but then everybody has their own idea of what that's about. And some of them are going to go ahead and label them as schizophrenic, of course.
Especially those words, schizophrenic. If I can't actually tell any targeted individual not to go to a psychiatrist. I personally would never want to. But if you do and you don't want to be diagnosed schizophrenic, just do not use the key word hearing voices. If you use that word, you're going to be diagnosed schizophrenic.
Well, I've been seeing the same psychiatrist for 23 years, believe it or not, and she never diagnosed me schizophrenic. She said I was deeply depressed with psychotic side effects, and that was it. She never labeled me as schizophrenic, and that's why I've kept her.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I know there are
Yeah,
there
she
are
didn't let me. She didn't let me down because I told her I believed it was electronic.
Yeah, there are some psychiatrists I know that I have never met them in person, but I've come into contact with some psychiatrists on X, Twitter, who told me that they're aware of the targeted individuals thing and they want to help, but they don't know how to actually diagnose the Havana syndrome. Apparently, it's very complicated to be able to actually diagnose it. But there are definitely some psychiatrists who want to help, but they just don't know how to go about it.
And a lot of the people that are targeted are usually pushed down so far economically that they can't afford a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
And Medicaid only pays for crappy psychiatrists that
Yeah,
want to put you in a mental
I have
hospital
the I
and
have
put you on drugs.
yeah, I have the Medicaid and Medi-Cal, and I just have the psychiatrists from the Kaiser Permanente, and they're terrible. In the past, I have seen another psychiatrist. It was just for one time, and it was much different than the psychiatrist that I get from Kaiser Permanente. But yeah, someone in chat literally just said I try to stay away from doctors. That's actually what I do too. I Unless there's something like I fracture a bone or something like that, I need to see a doctor, I generally try to avoid doctors just 100%.
Yeah, I had the neck problem. I had no choice because I was swarming around the floor with no ability to move my hands and feet, and I had to take a chance. And I called the ambulance and got to the fire department. The ambulance got to the hospital, and they took care of me. And you have to be very clear with them what you want. You can't bring up anything about your targeting. You have to stay focused on why you're there, and I did that, and I got through just fine. I did talk to a couple of physical therapists about targeting, and they believed me. One agreed with me. She says, "I think I'm targeted too."
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that in the book too. If you do go to a doctor, just avoid the certain keywords or talking about anything that they cannot see or hear themselves. You know, if you have some reason that you really need to go to a doctor, some sort of emergency, you kind of like, I don't know, maybe you're going through some health problem or your stomach feels like it's burning. You know, you're gonna want to focus on just telling them what the symptom is instead of actually telling them that you're being attacked by directed energy weapons or you're being followed.
Right, I agree.
Otherwise, you'll just be sent to the psych ward, the mental hospital, and they're going to force you to take medications. Yeah.
And your book covers how to act in a psych ward. Your book covers how to act in jail.
Yeah.
Which is the best advice is stay by yourself. Don't talk to anybody. Don't play card games. Don't get involved. Don't switch food. Just walk away in jail and all that. That was very interesting.
Yeah.
How they were both exactly the same. You have to keep to yourself. And you said it eloquently. The best response is no response.
Yes, totally. Yes, that's especially with V2K. I know it's frustrating. I know you probably get angry having something yap in your head 24/7, 7 days a week. But really, you know, if you want to focus on yourself and your own things, if you're actually responding, whether it's in your head or verbally, to your voice to skull, you're going to have difficulty focusing. I mean, it's distracting enough having something yapping in your head 24/7. But if you're actually thinking of responses and keeping the conversation going with your V2K, there's really no way you can focus on anything else. And I know you can't, I'm not saying you can ignore the V2K because they have a way of driving your mind to force you to focus on the words that are being spoken to you. But if you're actually trying to keep the conversation going and thinking of a response, then there's no way you can focus on anything else, and it's already distracting enough, really.
Chat room's going busy talking about some people don't have B2K, but they just don't know how they could handle it if they had it. It's a chess game, basically. A three-dimensional chess game is basically what it is, and you got to be on your top game. And the best game you can play is don't respond to the B2K, which takes most of your energy. I've learned, Jason, that I can't do that. But what I do is I have a small word I use. I just say, you know, very nice or whatever, and I use that for everything. And then, you know, they don't bother me because I'm not investing my energy into it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The less energy you actually invest into returning to your programming, the less power that they have. Not only do you have more energy for yourself, but I also believe that if you give the energy, you're feeding the program in a way and actually helping it grow and become more powerful and have more power over you. It's just like dealing with a person, a relationship you have in real life. If you're really invested in giving that person a lot of energy and say the relationship ends, you always feel hurt in a way. And even if you're trying to tell yourself that it doesn't matter, or you're just completely convinced that you're not in a relationship with that person anymore, but that amount of energy that you've invested into that person, it created some sort of bond and tie with you, and it really drains you. And I really feel like this relationship that you have with your own programming, it works in the same way. And the less you can uh, invest back into the program, the less it has control over you. And there's also the Stockholm syndrome, which I mentioned in the book as well, where target individuals somehow sometimes become dependent on their programming for companionship. You know, we're already isolated; no one can see and hear what we're going through, and it's almost like the program is the only thing that actually knows what we're going through. And sometimes we form this trauma bond with our programming and start to bond with it, and that's actually very dangerous. It's one of the worst things that can happen. And yeah, in the book, there's different ways. It talks about different ways where you can mitigate that too.
Yeah, and there's also the part where they play the good cop, bad cop, and you get persuaded to be part of a secret program, and you end up being going around town looking at places, and you're probably causing gang stalking to someone else in the program.
Oh
And
yeah,
then you talk, just so it's interesting how that works.
yeah. All the different loops in the book, I had fallen victim to them again and again and again, and that's how I know them so well because I've experienced all of them, and I've been sabotaged so many times by all of these different loops. That's why I felt like it was important to mention them in the book because I've also seen other targeted individuals on social media who have been caught in these loops as well. And I know I'm not the only person that goes through these loops. I've seen a lot of targeted individuals going through all these different loops as well. And so I really wanted to put it all in a book too.
Yeah, the book also covers how to talk and behave basically on a social media platform, so you don't end up getting exposed and you don't end up making enemies. I think it's all great advice. You've got everything covered. Have you considered writing a sequel or a second book now that you finish this?
I am thinking of writing. I've been thinking. I did start writing a second book, but I'm still not 100% sure about um, what my next book is going to be about. I have some different ideas, but I haven't committed to one yet. So it's something that I'm still brainstorming and trying to figure out. But I definitely want to. I'm very interested in writing a second book because this first book has already been such a great experience. It's only been out for about a month, but you know, again, it's really publishing a book, self-publishing a book has it's really been the best thing that's happened to me in my entire life, and I just feel like I found something, another outlet, another channel for me to create something, and it just feels great being able to help people.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, this book is definitely worth buying. The Kindle version is only 444. It's very reasonable. It's a small investment to make for a very large book that covers everything. Matter of fact, I would use it as a handbook if I were a new TI to guide me through the various things that you'll expect and save somebody, grief because, you get pulled into things like where they had the birds talking to you and you thought you were connected to Mother Nature, but in fact you were talking to the super AI.
Oh yeah, that was the wildest experience. There were all they were morphing the sounds of birds and dog barking and squirrel chuckling, and I just they were morphing the sounds and making it seem like all these animals were speaking English to me. Um, and you know, I thought that I was all of a sudden connected to Mother Nature, and I was the only person that could actually understand the language of all these different animals. And yeah, the animals started giving me advice, and it was actually good advice. It was advice that was working for me. And that's actually what the dangerous part was, is that this program, sometimes it will give you advice that actually works, and then it'll trick you into believing that it's actually trying to help you and actually working in your best interest. And then once you let your guard down and you start to follow the advice, um, sometimes mindlessly, which is what I started doing, all of a sudden it leads you into a trap and you get sabotaged and find yourself in a horrible situation. So yeah, that's one of the things. It's this program can do some ridiculous things to make you believe that there are supernatural forces, communicating with you. I was communicating with animals. They can make you feel like you're communicating with, ancient intelligent beings or whatever, or God, or any god and goddesses or spirits. And
Yeah, that's a common one I've gotten from people is they think they're talking to Jesus.
yes, for about 5 years after I became a target individual, I thought I was speaking to all these different spirits, including Jesus, and I had not heard of target individuals before, and I was just going in circles and just getting sabotaged. Um, and it wasn't until it was during the time when I was homeless, I was living at a mental group home. Um, I would go back and forth between different mental group homes for a place to sleep and food. But it was another uh, tenant at a mental group home, another mental health patient, who told me, "You're a target individual. Just look it up on Google." And that's when I found out I was a target individual, and I realized I wasn't speaking to all these like spiritual beings. It was this entire program, and all these people were going through it as well.
Yeah, it is quite a trick. Well, we need to take a break and get a word in from our friends at TI Events who sponsored this event by advertising them on their site. So we're going to give them a little break here, and we'll be right back for part 2 of the interview, and then we're going to do Q&A with people asking you questions, of course.
Jamie, being a targeted individual is so isolating. I don't know who to trust or where to turn.
I totally get it, Alex. That's how I felt too, until I found TIEvents.org.
TIEvents.org? What's that?
It's a site that lists everything for TIs: conference calls, webinars, in-person events, support groups, meetups, and more. There's something happening every day.
Well, that's exactly what I need. Real support from people who understand.
You'll find it all at TIEvents.org. It's been a game changer for me.
TIEvents.org, your one-stop source for all targeted individual events. Visit today and connect with your community.
Yes, and TI Events has made all this possible by getting more people here. And here's the book, Huggy Bear. There's a link for it. Let's get these books sold. Let's get this guy up there number one. You're already number one in microwave equipment and engineering, I think, or something like that. I saw you go up today.
Yeah, microwave electric engineering.
Yeah, electric engineering, yeah.
The best-selling list. The one I really want to hit number one on is the privacy and surveillance in the censorship categories, because Edward Snowden is actually in those categories at number one. So I was at number 8. He's number 1. I do think it's possible. I could somehow get there, but yeah, microwave electric engineering category. My book is currently at number 1 on the bestsellers list.
It's incredible information. So, great. If you're listening to this recording, go ahead and go to Amazon and type in Victim Survivor Warrior by Jason Lee. It'll pop right up. It's kind of a blue and red cover, and you can't miss it.
Thank you so much.
No problem. And now you're here on the call. You can use this recording to play back to people in the future for your book. And is there anything else you would like to talk about regarding your book or your targeting? What do you see in the future for targeting for all of us? Do you see an ending to this, or do you feel it's going to continue? And if it will end, what do you think we could do to make it end?
I do think that there will be an end. I really see targeted individuals just every year making more progress in when it comes to like stepping it up, when it comes to raising awareness and building community. There's more and more targeted individuals who are becoming inspired to step it up and do what they can. we don't have to compare ourselves with anyone else. It's just do what you can as an individual and work together with other target individuals and try to create this community. And I really see us pushing. And the truth is, a lot of people in this world are now realizing that things like the government and all these agencies are not what they seem to be, and a lot of people are waking up. So there is hope. Um, I definitely have found people who are not targeted individuals who support me and hear me out and believe that this could be happening. There's a lot of proud tinfoil hat wearers and conspiracy theorists and people who are spiritually awakened who entirely believe that the government would be doing something like this. They're very aware of things like past programs like MK Ultra, and they're aware that technology has advanced, and this could very possibly be happening. And I see a lot of hope for targeted individuals. I think we're really making a lot of progress, and I do think that this ends eventually because the world is waking up. Targeted individuals are growing and getting stronger. I think there's a lot of hope for us.
That's the right answer. I like that. You got 61 people on the call right now, so you got a big crowd. In a couple minutes, we'll go over to them and see what questions they have for you. How's that?
Awesome.
Anything else you'd like to talk about the book, or anything else that is important to you?
So I'm also releasing videos that are related to the book. They work in conjunction with the book. If you have the book, you can also watch the videos. And the videos I'm pretty much releasing for free. I'm releasing them on X, Twitter. I'm also putting them on TikTok. I've also been putting them in some of the Facebook groups. If you're interested in watching some of the video content related to the book, those have been going out. I'm only on chapter 2 right now. That's been going on. And I also started a Twitter X community, a group that you can join. And it's really interesting, this feature for Twitter communities, because when a post gets pinned in these Twitter communities, a notification goes out to all the members. So I've been very happy posting tweets from other targeted individuals and seeing them get a lot of engagement, actually, a lot more engagement than they usually get. I'm seeing most targeted individuals, whenever I pin their posts, they're getting 500% or 600% more engagement. So if you're on Twitter or X, join the Targeted Individuals Bootcamp community. Anyone can join, and just tweet in there. When you tweet in there, it also goes to your followers and everyone in the group, and just post constructive information. It doesn't have to be scientific. Anything that you think can encourage and uplift targeted individuals, and you'll get pinned. And I'm really trying to be fair with pinning different people. It doesn't matter how many followers you have or how much engagement you're getting. If I really feel like you're adding to the conversation and you're really trying, and you're posting quality content, the most important thing is that you're just posting the quality of your post, and I'll pin you, and hopefully you can grow your accounts and get more views and engagement. And that's really what I've really been focusing on lately.
Gotcha. Well, it's time now to switch to Q&A mode, to mute all mode, and you can star 6 if you have a question for Jason. So let's go and switch modes and see what happens. Well, hello everybody. Jason Lee is our guest. He's an author of a book that we're talking about. And if you'd like to ask a question, come on in, star 6, and ask your question. Come on in. So Jason Lee, and it's Targeted West.
I got a question, Jason. I get calls from TIs that are desperate. They want me to help them, but I can't help a V2K person because I don't have V2K. So I'm going to get your book and I'm going to read about it. Do you think that would help me guide them, or should I send someone that has V2K?
I think it can help you guide them. Really, the book talks about, when it comes to V2K, the book kind of mentions how they'll use V2K to really distract you and insult and degrade you. And the most important thing that I really recommend that's mentioned in the book is not actually responding to it. Just let it yap constantly. You can't. In the book, I mentioned it cannot be ignored because they drive the mind to actually focus on what's being said in the V2K. So I'm not saying that you can actually ignore it, but you let it yap in your head, and that's really, it's already distracting enough when the V2K is yapping 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And yeah, if you're actually responding to it and actually feeding it to keep the conversation going, it's even more exhausting, and not only exhausting, but it's going to take up your time. You're not going to have time for anything else, especially when you get to the warrior phase in the book. You're trying to shut down the program. You're trying to rebuild your life. You're trying to recreate relationships, trying to get out of isolation, and trying to recreate a daily schedule for yourself to stop living, slowly and limiting yourself. And if you're constantly replying and thinking of responses to the V2K, you cannot focus on any of that. So that's really, in my book, that's really my take on how to, deal with V2K.
Yeah, definitely gonna get it. And then if I can't help someone that's desperate, because they want to take their own lives, and I talk them out of it, but I really don't know enough about it to help them. So that's why I need your book.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead and pick it up, Deb. That's great.
Yep. Yeah, I understand this entire program. It's I always say this myself, because of course my parents, they think I'm schizophrenic and they don't believe what's happening to me. But I always say it myself that if I had not been targeted, I would not believe that this is happening either, because it's just difficult to imagine. Yeah. Even other weapons like guns and knives. Most of us would not know what guns and knives are like unless we had seen it in actual movies. Because when we think of a gun, we hear a gunshot because we've heard it so many times in these Hollywood movies, and we can kind of imagine them. But these directed energy weapons and this voice to skull, there's no way for us to actually know and imagine what they're like, because we can't see and hear them ourselves. So that's another part of this program that's really tricky for us as target individuals, which is getting people to believe us when it's really difficult and almost impossible for them to imagine it, because there's no examples for them to actually draw any of their envisioning from. There's no movies about it. There's no way for them to know what these directed energy weapons or this voice to skull is actually like, because there's been no entertainment and media about it to actually help them realize and feel and imagine what it could be like being a target individual. So I completely understand what you mean about the voice to skull.
Well, thank you, Deb K, for that. Next question in line for Jason. Come on in. Jason Lee, author, TargetedWest.
Hi, Jason. I really enjoyed your interview today, and I just have one question. Based on your own experience, what was the turning point that moved you into warrior mode?
Let's see. It was. I have to say that it was actually the desire for me to actually be in a romantic relationship again. It had been 10 years and I hadn't been in a relationship. I had not got on a single date in 10 years, and I wanted to be in a relationship. I wanted a girlfriend, and there was a woman who told me that I was submitting, and I wasn't fighting, and that I have to fight it and I have to stop being fearful. I was going through so much trauma at the time, and especially after my experience being beaten by a group of police, and they fractured my neck, and I got nerve damage, and I've never quite healed from that. But it actually, I figured that I had to deal with all this fear and trauma somehow, and then it was actually martial arts that I started because I was scared to be in public after the entire beating happened. And I thought maybe if I took martial arts and learned how to defend myself, I may be less scared to be in public. And I know I'm not saying that you can use martial arts to actually physically fight this targeting program, but I owe a lot to martial arts as well because it made my mind stronger. It developed me into a warrior spirit. And I mean, what better way to...
I watched you do all those exercises and videotaped afterwards, sweating like away, yeah. And you said what you needed to work on, your shins or this part or that part. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. I entirely, in my book, I mentioned there's like, I forgot how many ways. I think there's 7 or 8 ways that martial arts can help a target individual. And also for target individuals who are permanently injured, like myself, you don't have to do anything incredibly strenuous or compare yourself to other people at martial arts. But martial arts really helped me. And, you know, what better way to actually learn the warrior spirit and the way of the warrior than taking something like martial arts. So, but it was really, I wanted to be in a relationship again. And I realized how broken I had become and how much fear had consumed me and how much trauma I had. And I just had this calling that I really wanted to step it up. And one thing led to another. And, you know, it turned me into such a stronger, targeted individual. It fired up my spirit. And I started thinking of this entire targeting program as something, as an obstacle, like a challenge that I needed to conquer. So, yeah, it's really, I wanted to break out of isolation. And in that process, I had to also improve and upgrade myself and become a better person. And eventually, it led me to the warrior phase. And actually, that's what eventually gave me the words to write this book, because when I was in the survivor phase, I tried to write the book, but I couldn't think of a single word. But it wasn't until I reached the warrior phase that I actually could think of words to write for a book.
Gotcha.
That's
Thank
beautiful.
you, Tranquility. Wow.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Tranquility. Next question in line for Jason Lee.
Hi, Jason. I've got a question for you. Which form of martial arts did you choose?
Hi. So I tried, the first one I tried was Muay Thai, which I still take, and it's called Thai boxing, but it's a form of kickboxing. There's also one that's just called kickboxing, but Muay Thai and also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is also, it's more like grappling. It's similar to wrestling, but it's not. It's meant for people who may not have a super large body or a lot of strength, which is why I was interested in it. It's something that women can take as well, because it doesn't require like having a lot of muscle or a lot of power, and it's really a martial art where you kind of use your opponent's momentum against them, and it's more about balance and technique than actual strength and power. So that's also another one that I took. But again, I have a permanent injury, and even after taking martial arts for about a year and a half, and I started out going just once a week because I was very malnourished and my entire body was deteriorated. I had a permanent injury. But what also helped me was yoga, because after taking martial arts for about a year and a half, every time it was time for us to do push-ups, I still couldn't do a single push-up because of my permanent injury. And in the book, I also mentioned yoga for target individuals because a lot of us are really, we're damaged, our bodies are deteriorated, we lack strength, or we have permanent injuries like I have. So I really recommend yoga because, again, after taking martial arts for a year and a half, I still couldn't do a single push-up. And after doing yoga, now I can do, 100 push-ups in a day without a problem. So, yeah, martial arts really helped me. And when you take martial arts, you really, as a target individual, do not compare yourself with other people at your studio or your gym or your dojo, because these people are not targeted individuals. You take it at your own pace. If there's anything you're not comfortable doing, just tell your instructor. It's not like before I ever took martial arts. I actually had a lot of fear going into martial arts for the first time, because the only thing I knew was from the movie Karate Kid, where the sensei is like making the main character punch a wooden block, and his hand starts bleeding and he breaks his hand. That's not how it is in real life. It's not like that. Your instructor is going to take you very slowly. And the sparring, you're wearing armor, and they instruct you to do it very slowly and playfully. You don't actually go full power. I understand how you could feel anxiety, like if there's an entire class watching you, but from what I've experienced, that's not how it's like. Everyone just partners up with someone at a reasonable level, as they are, same level as they are, and everyone kind of spars at the same time, very slowly and playfully. And it's not like everyone's watching two people spar where you're on the spot. So martial arts really helped me, and I highly recommend it, because it turned me into a new person, and I can't even imagine what I'd be doing right now if I had not started martial arts.
Right.
Thank you, Jen, for that. Thank you for that question. Next question in line, please, for Jason Lee. Last call for Jason Lee. They're very quiet tonight.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
There we go.
How you doing?
Ni hao ma.
Ni hao.
I'm kind of getting into that phase of recovery, but I'm still going through a lot. It's traumatic for me because in New Jersey, they send out notifications wherever you go. They get people to mess with you. But, I've learned to actually embrace isolation in some ways, focus in on myself, focus on the Bible. I'm about to go to a martial arts camp, actually. I used to teach martial arts in Philadelphia. So what keeps me going is my faith, and knowing that, if you commit your life to doing evil, eventually there will be consequences for it. And I follow you on Twitter. I like you, man. You got a good personality, bro. A very good spirit, sir.
Thank you so much. Faith in God, knowing that there's a higher power out there, looking over us, also fighting by our side. And I also, there was a time where I was purposely trying to. That's actually another reason why I started martial arts and also yoga, was to participate in activity where I was around other people. But I know exactly what you mean by embracing solitude, because I do that most of the time too. I stay at home. I enjoy being by myself and just focusing on myself and doing things that I somewhat enjoy, trying to build all these different projects. So I entirely understand what that's like. There was a period of time where I was literally trying to force myself to socialize more, but currently I'm in that solitude mode myself, so I know exactly what you mean. What martial arts did you teach when you used to coach?
Oh, I teach Bujinkan Ninjutsu. It's an old Japanese style, 9 different schools of jujitsu and striking arts. So I'm getting back into it, man. I taught 2 students to black belt level, so I got some good things I can call on from my life. But since being targeted, it's an ongoing trauma. I wish I was in the post stage, because post you can start working more and more on healing. But I've learned that you have to start doing it now, even while the trauma is ongoing.
Yes, I really recommend you get back into that ninjutsu because when I do things like when I do the hot yoga and when I do martial arts, it's actually before I actually walk in, I may not be feeling up for it. I'm feeling terrible, I'm feeling exhausted, but when I'm doing it, my mind and my body is so um, preoccupied with the training that it's the only time when I actually forget I'm a targeted individual, especially with martial arts. Especially when I'm doing things like doing the light sparring and I'm avoiding getting hit, I'm thinking of ways to attack and defend. Um, my mind is so and body is so preoccupied that I forget I'm targeted, and it's like it's funny because I'm sparring, and when you spar, you sometimes you get hit, but it's actually the only time when I actually feel like I'm free, and it's ironic in a way. But I really recommend you get back into your jiu-jitsu because it could just change things for you so much, and give you relief too.
Fisher.
Thank you, Tori. Next question in line for Jason Lee. Anybody else? Well, that's exactly 1 hour. Like I said, we got your interview put in, and thank you for watching on your favorite platform. If you're watching this on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, or listening to it on Spotify, or getting a copy at archive.org, we're here with a copy for you. Thank you for watching the recording. Thank you, Jason Lee, for coming by tonight. And we'll still have open mic for the next hour, so you can stay if you'd like, and maybe some more people will have questions, or you can jet if you need to. Anyway, let me go ahead and end this recording. Thank you for watching on your platform.